Hi everybody and welcome back to Mentour. Great to see you all back, and all of you new subscribers, welcome to the channel. I hope you're enjoying it. Make sure that you interact and send in questions and suggestions about future content, and I will do whatever I can to answer them for you. So today I am going to debunk a little bit one of the biggest myths that are out there, and that's about airline pilots and divorces. So I'm receiving a lot of questions about this. A lot of people who are interested in getting into the industry but doesn't really want to do that if it means that they're not going to be able to keep their spouse or their girlfriend or whatever. So I have been doing some research about this, but I'm going to make it absolutely clear that I am not an expert when it comes to divorces or divorce rates. I've never divorced myself, and I don't have many friends who've done that either. But I have looked up at some university studies that's been done on the subject, and then I'll give you also my view on it. I have also done a previous video which is called Life Quality of an Airline Pilot, and you can have a look at that if you want a more broad picture about life quality, but I'm going to be focusing on the family issue here. So there was a recent study. Well, it was done back in 2010 in Bradford University, and I'm going to link to that up here. In there, they checked what the divorce rate was between different occupations, and you'll see there's a long list of different occupations in there, and you'll probably be quite surprised to see that while the occupations that are mostly subjected to divorces involve occupations like bartenders and massage therapists and dancers. They're up at around 43%. Pilots, they will rank down at around 11%, which is along the lower part of the spectrum. So according to that university study, pilots are actually less likely than a lot of other occupations to divorce. And that might come as a big surprise to you, and it actually came as a little bit of a surprise to me as well, because I thought we were around average. However, it should be said as well that that study is done in America, and I am not sure if they have checked other nationalities, or if it's only American pilots that are included in that study. So there are many different things that will be important when it comes to how an occupation will affect your chances of having a happy marriage. Things like average age in the occupation, average income, communication skills between you and your spouse mainly. So if, let's say that you have a job that is extremely complicated or even secret, then you won't be able to discuss it with your spouse, and it's likely that that's going to have a negative effect on how good your communication within the rest of the marriage is as well. Also things, of course, like how much quality time that you're spending with your family. I would say that that's probably the thing that people are most curious about when it comes to an airline pilot, because depending on what kind of airline job you have, you are going to spend more or less time with your family. Now, I am really fortunate to work in an airline where I come home every night and where I have a lot of my weekends free with my family. That's extremely important, because what you'll come to notice, society is built up around weeks and weekends, and pilots' rosters tends to be rolling, so they tend to be going over the weeks, so you'll be off maybe 2 or 1 weekend during the month. The rest of the time you'll be off during the weeks. That does put a bit of a strain on marriages, because if you're not off during the weekends, it'll be hard to invite friends and family, and it all causes a bit of friction. That's a fact. Another fact is that if you're working for a long-haul company or a freighter company, then it's likely that you're going to be fairly tired as well the time that you have at home with your family. Freighter companies tend to work a lot of night shifts. That definitely affects how much quality time they will spend with their family. Long-haul companies, I've mentioned this in previous videos as well. If you're working for a long-haul company, you might be home for 3-4 days and then going out, maybe gone for 5-6 days, during those 5-6 days, you might be a bit jet lagged, as in you're changing time zones. So when you get home, you're going to need to rest and get back onto that time zone you were on before. Of course, while you've been gone, your spouse has been taking care of a lot of the work at home. So taking care of the kids, paying bills, taking care of the house, all of that. So he or she is going to want help with that when you get back, and you are tired, so you want to sleep. And that, of course, causes friction as well. I'm fortunate that's not a fact in my case, but it is a fact in a lot of pilots' cases. Another thing, and I think that's very important as well, is the ability to get time off during major holidays and when your kids and your spouse have time off. That is a problem in the airline business, because when a lot of people have time off, when there are big holidays, things like that, people tend to want to travel. And of course, if they're going to travel, they're going to fly with an aircraft. And who's going to fly that aircraft? That's going to be you. So it means that it's harder for a pilot to get time off in these big holidays and things, and that can cause a bit of friction as well. What else? Yes, one thing that I have been continuously getting questions about, and I'm not going to talk too much about, is the relationship between pilots and flight attendants. So, do pilots marry flight attendants, and does it work? Well, I am married with an ex-flight attendant. She's currently studying law. A lot of my friends have their wives or girlfriends are also ex-flight attendants. That has a lot of different reasons, but it's actually quite logical. You know, you tend to hook up with people that you work with because they work on similar schedules to you. You see them all the time, you interact with them all the time. So people that are close to you, you're likely to find someone you like. It's easy as that. But there's also another thing in this, and that's, since we are working on rolling rosters, it might be that you have your time off during a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, for example. And that's the time that you are going to go out and have beers with your friends and things. It's the same for flight attendants. They will be off on irregular dates as well. So that's when the people that you will hang out with. Another thing, which is actually a good thing when it comes to people within the same kind of business hooking up, is that they will have a big and good understanding for the job. And that's very important. So my wife, for example, she knows exactly what I mean when I say that I can't come, I'm going to be late tonight because I have a technical problem with the aircraft, for example. She knows what that is and she won't question it. She also knows how we work, you know, who we work with and how things works in general. So it's very convenient that way, and that goes back to what I said before about the importance of being able to communicate with each other. I can very easily communicate with my wife, telling her about my day at work, and she will understand it. So yeah, pilots and flight attendants tend to hook up just like doctors and nurses and doctors and doctors and lawyers and people within the same occupation everywhere. That's basically why it happens, and in my view, it's a good thing. You know, I was young when I started off as a pilot, so were my wife. So people in their 20s are going to hook up with people in their 20s, and it doesn't hurt the fact that they are generally good-looking people as well. So that's my kind of view on it all. And if you have more questions on the subject, please feel free to send it in. But the big thing to take home from this one is that the divorce rate among pilots is not higher than in any other occupation on average. You might find yourself flying with a lot of older pilots that's had a lot of divorces, but if you are to be honest, you can look through society as a whole and you'll find a lot of people in their 50s actually have had divorces as well. So thank you. I'll see you next time. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and take care.